It's 60 years since the national launch of Babycham. The sparkling Perry was one of the first alcoholic drinks marketed directly to women and heralded a complete change in attitude to the British drinking culture. The animated baby deer logo made the brand instantly recognisable, as did the half association with champagne. As the ad said, the Babycham bottle fills a champagne glass. Robert Opie is a brand expert. Robert, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Welcome to the programme. Was it really a groundbreaking drink, Robert?
I think it was, yes, and it became, as you might say, very endearing. So, yes, it did break new ground, and it did create a whole market around it. You probably remember Cherry B, you can still get, and other brands like Pony, for instance, and there was a thing called Golden Godwin.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
I didn't know it was marketed towards women. I remember going to a friend's house with my parents when I was young, normally at Christmas Day in Leighton Buzzard, and they'd serve Babycham to us children.
No, it was mainly for women.
No wonder we were happy in the afternoon. Goodness me, really? Was it? Because it is alcoholic, isn't it?
Oh, yes, very much so, but it's just a lighter drink, and therefore sort of more acceptable for women in those days. I think that has been a huge change since then, of course.
I remember those Christmas tables, and it was the bottles of pale ale and Babycham, and it was like, OK, kids, drink the Babycham, it's all right for you, if only we knew. We all remember the bottle, very iconic in the adverts, but was it actually any good, Robert? Did it taste nice?
Well, do you know, my memory of Babycham is not that good because I don't think I indulged in it very much, but I think it was a nice kind of easy drinkable drink that really did kind of give you that extra sparkle. And I suppose it was marketed in a very kind of aspirational way. In other words, a good party had to have Babycham. But I can remember, for instance, in the 70s, the Watney's Party 7. Now, that was very much
that I do remember.
Go-getter, wasn't it? You'd take it to the party, it would be a bit shaken up as you went there. You'd open it up with great ceremony, and you'd find the first 2 pints on the ceiling.
The Babycham, it was just the iconic logo, the bottle itself, the blue bottle with the sort of green metallic foil cap, and the glasses they came in. The glasses were like little champagne glasses.
Very much so, yes, and everybody remembers that, and it sort of became that kind of, you wouldn't have a party without it, and I suppose in a way, you know, we've all changed, the society has moved on, and it was very much a 60s and 70s brand. So by the 80s, they were really in the mode of trying to revive it, and it's never really succeeded, you know.
Why do you think that is? Because it was a very powerful brand in the early 70s.
Yeah, but it just got stuck in the past, and I suppose each new generation wants to have their own thing, and you don't really want to drink the kind of parental drink that, you know, you become, I suppose, a bit fuddy-duddy if you think you're going to have a Babycham. But, of course, it's still strong with those who remember it. But the new generation, you know, I mean, you come up to more recent times, Alco-Pops. Now, you know, they have gone through that moment very quickly, in fact. But, you know, they've had that time, and we're now into other things. So I suppose society keeps on changing, and we evolve with it. And a lot of these brands are just momentarily there. Babycham has been around for, as you say, 60 years, which is a good innings, but it's sort of had its time.
Well, maybe, because I saw a bottle, because I was looking for it at the weekend in the supermarket, and I saw, what I did see was a 2-litre plastic bottle of Babycham, and I thought, well, that kind of spoils the whole magic of it. It was, the whole bottle, the whole idea was, it were those magical, very pretty little bottles with the glasses, and it had it created its own ambience.
Totally, yes, but I mean, you can still get those magic little bottles. Unfortunately, you probably found a store that had run out of them, so you only had the large ones. But you're absolutely right. A brand has to be consistent to be successful. We hate change, and a lot of brands have tried to move with the times, and you sort of have to, but you do it gradually. You do it just tweaking it ever so often, and you don't do it all at once, like a huge change, which really upsets people who are buying these things.
Now, Robbie, you've just released a DVD on brands' history, and the big brands, they are very carefully protected, aren't they?
Totally, yes, and I would encourage your listeners to go onto our Throwaway History website, because there you can vote for your favourite brands and engage with some of those ones you remember from the past. I mean, for instance, do you remember the Lion's individual fruit pie?
Yes. Yeah, I do vaguely, yes.
And, of course, everybody remembers Spangles.
Yes.
Or the Texan bar. And I suppose sweets have really hit those memories, and that's what the Throwaway History does. It's part of all our psyche. It's inbuilt into our social story, all these brands. And particularly at times like Christmas, we re-engage in those memories. And just the pure mention of them, Cabana, Mint Cracknell, Space Dust, Amazing Raisin, all these brands conjure up little moments in our lives.
Well, they're very evocative. That's the beauty of them.
Yeah, but they trigger off other things, and that's what this DVD does. It re-engages with something that has come and gone, or the designs of the packs have come and gone, and they've moved on slightly, and then suddenly you're confronted like a friend from the past that you suddenly haven't seen for 30 or 40 years, and those memories flood back, and everybody will talk a bit about their relationship, because that's exactly what we have. We would have a relationship with these amazing products that have totally changed the way we live.
And we have had our fair share of very iconic, very powerful brands in the UK. And is that why we've seen so many of these iconic British brands being sold to foreign companies? They want a part of that history.
Yeah, this phrase is the way the world is going. We're now global, and brands are owned by whoever knows. It was very sad to suddenly see Cadbury's being taken over by Kraft. It was one of the last kind of great stalwart British brands. But nevertheless, they haven't changed it, and nor should they. So I still feel a lot of these brands are quintessentially British, almost whoever owns them.
I tell you what, it's a really powerful tool, and the power of... we see this more often than not in things like the Apple computers, because it's just a computer in a fancy box, and yet people pay 3-4 times over the odds and be prepared to wait for it and queue up for it. It's just a computer.
Yeah, but that's what it is. We like to possess these things that have that little kind of tick of approval in our own minds, and we do become very brand loyal. And almost to the point of having nothing else, and we will never change. I mean, we're very loyal to our banks, for instance. Perhaps we shouldn't, that's something that is very much a kind of a core in itself.
Well, that may change. Can I ask you, Rob, because your knowledge of brands is rather extensive. Is there one brand that you think you'd like to see make a comeback? That there's a potential for it to make a comeback?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the trouble is there are so many of them. Whatever happened to Pacers? That was a very simple, minty, chewy sweet. And there are lots and lots of crisps. I wouldn't necessarily want to come back, but those memories of horror bags and discos. And...
Do you know, we haven't got, out with my wife on Saturday, I had some Starburst in the car, and she made a very good... She said, they just don't taste the same as opal fruits. Why can we not have opal fruits?
Yes, I know. It's tragic, isn't it? I mean, whatever happened... I've got the museum in London, and... somebody was talking to me the other day, whatever happened to puffer rice? And they were just in agonies about, remembering the taste of it. And sadly, at the beginning of this year, we lost Forced breakfast cereal. You may not remember Forced breakfast cereal, but it was still going. It was around for 103 years.
Wow.
And then Nestle, who eventually owned it, decided they didn't have enough corn. It was having to, or wheat rather, it was having to be put into the shredded wheat because the wheat harvests have been so poor this last year. But that is very sad. For us lovers of Forced breakfast cereal, please bring it back one day. Robert, pleasure talking to you. Have a very Merry Christmas, sir. And to you. Thank you. Robert Opie is a brand expert. Babycham, 60 years old. We used to get served this when I was little in the 70s. We used to get served this at Christmas time. I think my parents thought it was for kids.